remind everybody that enjoy each other, take care of each other, because you never know, life is short. And there are a few of my classmates who are no longer with us. And, we lost a few right after our 20th. And, there could be people in this room, this is the last time you're going to see them. So make it count. But I guess we'll just have a quick moment of silence for Lori Johnson, Christy Dakin, David Selhaver, Antonio Love, Wade Wheat, Steve Wood, John Spirick, Big John. And we have John Young and Ricky Smith. So, and Lonnie Nichols. Thank you. So I guess quick moment of silence for those that we've lost. All right, take care of each other. And here's Jay. Take this.
All right, this is going well. One more time for Tommy, everybody. We're going to do that intermittently for the next 5 to 7 minutes. This is going to be great.
Come on.
I would really like to thank Tommy to start off right off the bat. I'm just going to go out here and invite Jeremy. It's going to be good. I'd like to thank Tommy for giving me, for what is a semi-professional comedian's dream, the worst possible gig ever. I've done a lot of shows for a lot of people. Usually they're strangers and there's a little bit of mystery. I know most of you. If you don't like me, literally my legacy is fucked.
I like you, Jay.
Remember when he was funny in high school? No? Or middle school? Grade school. Who out here knew me in grade school?
Woo!
I'm so much worse than when you know me then.
You look good.
Well, I can't argue. All right. Let me just gauge the pulse of this crowd. Are we a Boone's Farm, Mad Dog, or 64 ounce of Old English crowd? Where you at?
OE!
I have an Old English crowd? Fuck, this is gonna go good. Dude, gonna be honest, completely honest here, I haven't lived in Fort Dodge for a long time. This is my first time back in a long time. I live in Missouri now. Are you guys familiar with Missouri? It's where all the meth comes from. So, on behalf of my adopted state and all the people there with the meth, you're welcome. Welcome for all that meth. I wrote notes. Literally, Tommy told me 20 minutes after I showed up, right after he told me there was Taco Tico, he told me, "You're doing a set." Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, Jay.
Oh, you're right. I wrote down a brief list of things that really, when I look back on Fort Dodge, kind of make me laugh, kind of make me smile a little bit. I want to read these things off to you. The Stag.
Apples. Pitch.
Anyone else remember times going to the Stag where you looked over and there were 7 cop cars parked outside of there? And you had to wonder, why are none of us arrested ever here? The best moment, and this is a true moment, I wasn't going to talk about this. I brought a friend of mine from Iowa State after going there, back to the Stag. And we showed up there, and the Stag didn't open that night. And we realized that Bob from the Stag passed out on his way to open the door. And I wanted to say I'm sorry, but I was like, no, that's the most Fort Dodge thing I've ever heard in my life. You guys remember when they had that fire, but the pool table and the jukebox were moved out the night before? That's like some weird Sopranos shit. They go like, oh, it doesn't happen in real life. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I was not going to bring up old wounds with Sports Page. Yeah, that's a great place to go. What else? Two Sisters. Anyone else ever been there? liquor as a 13-year-old. How do you do that? I couldn't even drive there. I walked up with a backpack and they're like, what do you want? I don't know. Whatever the adults like. That's what I want. What else did I laugh about thinking back about Fort Dodge? Duffer! I'm kidding, I love him. But I was trying to think of things to say and I was like, flannel, sunglasses. His mom owns a taxi. Gay marriage is legal in Iowa. Why didn't I marry Duffer? That's all I'm saying. God, my life would be amazing. I don't know. We'll have a conversation. The Banwell Farm, does that ring a bell? That fake bullshit haunted house that we all convinced ourselves to believe was real?
It's scary. Yeah,
it is scary. I won't talk about it. I'm sorry. Remember we all drove out there and there was like that rumor that if you like turned off your lights and you would turn them back on, all of a sudden there would be a ghost shining in the face of your car? Did that happen to anybody? Did we all experience the worst episode of Ghost Hunters ever collectively? Dean! What the fuck was Dean, everybody? This is a moment of pride for all of us. We as juniors co-opted the seniors yearbook with a made-up phrase that Tommy had.
They're pissed.
What? Dean was the Fort Dodge version of Word. Remember, like, Word could mean anything or forget about it? That's what we did. Tommy made something up and pissed off every senior. All of them moved out of Fort Dodge. They were that pissed off. Anyone else ever try to drive Senior Snell to lunacy? Was I the only class? What's lunacy? Remember Senior Snell? Remember that one day that he went on a rant talking about the Rodney King riots and how he would have gotten a rifle and climbed to the top of a tall building?
No.
I wish I made that up. I was trying to learn Spanish. He was like, I would kill them all! Okay, so.
How she went down in that class.
Anyone else both kind of excited and got a little bit sick about the Ryan and Kai stories from Miss Takasuka? This is real. For you people who didn't go to high school with us, this is the most inside joke nonsense you've ever heard. Supposed to be a laugh at the end of that. All right, good.
None of us can speak Spanish either.
So what moped gang did you all belong to?
Devil Hit Riders.
And
Southside Riders.
second question, how long was the flag on your moped? I don't want to go too inside baseball, but Jeremy Mortensen's flag was so goddamn long. There were several multicolored clothespins on your flag. You were like gay pride before that was a thing.
The Red Ferret. Hey, it was the
Red
Ferret.
Was anyone else upset? I drove by Duncombe School earlier. Did that like piss anybody off? How many people were from Duncombe here? Perfect. Okay. For one point, like for most of my history, every single Christmas when we watched a Christmas show, we're like, "That's our fucking high school, dude."
Hell yeah. I said that.
Dude, I gotta be honest. The most exciting thing that happened to me since I got here, I walked up and I talked to Tommy. He was sitting over here. It was great to see him after so many years. And he looked at me and he was like, "You know, we have Taco Tico over here." I was like, "Fuck you! I'm going over here." I was the most heartbroken I've ever been in my adult life. I pulled into Fort Dodge after literally 23 years, and I realized the street in front of Taco Tico was blocked off. I was like, I can't go there. My life has no meaning at this point. Did you say it takes a white guy to come here? That was a weird comment. I mean, it's true, but how's everybody we doing? How you guys been? I wanted to like go around and roast you individually, but it would be redundant. We all know all our ridiculous stories. Jeremy and I, years ago, we wrote a book report about the Foxmen. Did anybody read that book? Neither did we. We made a rap about a book for Mrs. Peterson's 7th grade class. That is the whitest thing any two people have ever done.
Do it.
Do you remember it? No. Okay.
Mutiny on the Bounty is what we're all about. It was great.
Steve? I remember the best thing about Steve, he had a buckle on his high school basketball shorts. Am I right on this? He was like he was more Larry Bird than Larry Bird at the time. So. John Mosley. John was my best friends for a long time. This is going to get a little bit weird, but this might be the funniest thing I remember from Fort Dodge. In our moped gang, John showed up. John had a black moped and a black football jersey. And he showed up at night on his moped. And my father looked at John and he's like, John, is this all right? And as God is my witness, John looked at my father and was like, I'll just smile real big for him.
True story.
We did have an epic moped gang though. If an epic moped gang could be like defined by one guy with a good moped and me 25 yards behind at all times.
Swing on 10 speed, hold on to your shoulder.
Anybody on a pooch? Remember those? You had to pedal to start? This is really going inside baseball. What else did I have to talk about? I don't know, I might have exhausted it. Guys, this is really magical to come back and see people after so long. This is the most fun. I was really sad that I had to miss the last event, and some people thought that was bullshit. I'm gonna tell you why it's not bullshit. I got in a car accident. If by in a car accident you mean I did a comedy show and I had a bunch of shots and I hit someone's car.
Oops. Oopsie daisy.
It was around the same time I went on a really elaborate health program. I lost a bunch of weight, and it was a joint exercise program developed by me and the State of Missouri Department of Corrections. They called it a suspension. I called it a driving sabbatical. I sort of just took time off to think about driving philosophically. I had to go to court, which you do when you hit somebody's car at random. Somebody said not necessarily. And it was Duffer. How fucking cool is that?
Teflon Duffer.
I went to court, and I was in court, and there was a guy in front of me who went to court because he threw his pregnant girlfriend down a flight of stairs because, quote, bitch was asking for it. That is not a valid legal defense as far as I know.
Was he from Port Arthur?
Oh, no. In spirit.
We're gonna have Johnny Cochran.
And juice is loose. I mean, come on, let's be
All day.
I had to get up in court after this guy went, and they were like, so you were drinking and texting and driving, and I was like, that's totally true, Your Honor. And that guy literally, at the time, the guy, bitch was asking for it, looked at me and was like, fuck. That's not the whole story. I was not arrested for drinking and texting and driving. I was arrested for drinking and sexting and driving. I sexed for the same reason that all of you do it, because it's kind of naughty and it's a little bit fun. It stops being fun when your sext messages are read aloud in front of a jury of your own peers. When the minute the judge is like, bailiff, bring me his phone, I'm like, no, I'm pleading guilty to whatever you got. got. I'm gonna be honest, I can do it all night long. It's harmless bullshit, but in a courtroom, it's probably perjury. Gonna be.
You're driving the stick shift, huh?
Guys, this has been a shitload of fun. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. I say in true Fort Dodge fashion, why don't we get shit-faced and hang out for a little bit? Thanks for having me. Glad to see you all.
Jay.
Tommy's not coming.